Hello everyone, welcome to Ed Talk TV, Conversations Worth Having. I'm your host, Ed Troxel, and I am the tech-savvy business strategist who helps overwhelmed business owners get organized and help them overcome today's technology challenges. So, if this is your first time joining, please be sure to say hello, even if you're watching the replay. If you're a consistent viewer, it's Monday, bear with me. If you tune into the show all the time, be sure to say hello, even if you're catching the replay as well. For those who are new, I did put my link in the comments for you, edtroxel.com. That's where you're going to find all of your answers. Yep, you're going to find all of them there. Newsletter, yep, get on that free. I send that out once a week, full of great content. And 2, check out the Hey Ed community. That is the best place for you to get all of your support all month long for one low price. So you want to make sure you get in on that. And you don't have to take my word for it. You can see all of the testimonials and ask any questions you want. Just let me know over at edtroxel.com. So today, let's talk about burnout. How many of you guys have suffered from burnout? Maybe how many of you guys are suffering from burnout right now? I see some hands going up. Yep. That's what we're going to talk about on today's show. But before we do that, we're actually going to jump into some random news because we love random news and it's Monday and it's also a sign for many of you who are parents, back to school time, right? How many of you guys have kids that are going back to school already this week? I know a lot of people are starting this week. Some started last week. Some are going to be going next week. But majority of them in my area, at least, are going this week. So it's crazy. Everyone's back to school. I will hopefully be able to add your comments. I can't reply to your comments. I just updated my program, and it's not letting me reply to your comments on there. So I will bring the phone out, so then that way I can do that down here. So, by the way, Erica, I just saw your Instagram post about uphill challenges. Well done. That was awesome. I really enjoyed that. Thank you so much. Hey, Deepa, welcome. Glad to see you. Some people are saying, yep, my area in September. Oh, nice. You guys are going later. That's cool. Our area is definitely earlier, but maybe they got out early too. So, in random news and tying in technology as well as going back to school. First off, France. You guys hear about this? France is in the news, by the way, today. That's what we're going to talk about on the show. It's just going to be about France. I don't know why, but it's just going to tie in. But France actually had an overwhelming 62-1 vote last Monday, I think it was, to get this. Get this. Are you ready? To ban smartphones and personal tablets from school. What? What? Like, what do you guys think about that? Those of you guys, even if you're not a parent, what do you think about that? Because this could apply to workplaces too, you guys. I mean, this is just kind of tip of the iceberg here. But having that ban on smartphones and personal tablets, meaning that students from ages 3 to 15 are prohibited from even bringing their devices to school. That's crazy, right? Like, what do you think about that? Even if you're watching the replay, what do you think about that, and how do you think that is going to change things, both for parents and for kids? Now, we talk about this because that's a business. School is a business. I mean, let's face it, they still have to run it like a business. And to be able to implement bans, in this case, that affect everyone, I mean, that's a lot of decision making, and that's a lot of thinking and testing, and fingers crossed it's going to work. They smoking. Yeah, exactly. We didn't have tablets and phones, and we did just fine. Right, Deepa? Yeah, exactly. Then they actually have to think. Yeah, that's the big one, is that they want people to really think about the conversation. They really want people, and we're going to talk more about that here in a second, but the ban on mobile phones is one of those things, I'm just reading the article as well, is one of those things where they want the kids to start focusing. They want to get them away from the screens so much because, let's face it, we're all addicted to the screens, right? And so, of course, they're saying in the article, guess it's going to go back to posting notes or sharing notes in school. Have any of you guys done that before? I think I might have done that once or twice, but not very often. Erica says, I'm honestly shocked they were ever allowed in the first place. Yeah, that's the thing. Well, even here in schools, it depends on what school, I guess I should say. Depends on what school and where you're at. Because there is one school, like my old high school, they actually are very tech driven. And from my understanding from most of the classes, like they encourage the students, to use their phones to do the research and things like that. Because that they know that they're going to be on them anyway. So why not start getting them to use them for research purposes, for the classroom, and really being able to dive in there. But then again, you have that balance of, are they looking up, Tinder? Are they texting? Are they, Instagramming each other, Snapchatting? Like, what are they doing, and how is that going to affect their schoolwork? And is that going to be able to help them with distractions and not? So it definitely is a conversation worth having, no matter where you're at, whether you're a student, a parent, a business owner, or just average person, right? It's one of those things that we should be talking about and knowing, because it could be something that we want to talk about in terms of our business as well, depending on what your business is. Cell phones are a safety issue with all the BS going on. Yeah, well, that's the other thing too. So because I used to work in the school district, I don't know if you guys know that, but I worked, I think it was like 13 years doing after-school programs. And it's one of those things where, sending the phone, or most people have the phones, but not the tablets, but either one, sending the cell phone with your child because they're taking the bus, because they're going here or there. I mean, it's a safety thing, especially these days, and it's nice to have that, right? So it's interesting that they're wanting to ban it completely from bringing it to school. So then it's like, well, where do you go with your devices? You leave them in the car with mom and dad? Like, I don't know. So it'll be interesting. Really interesting. So that was the random news. And now to segue into today's topic, I really wanted to make sure to cover this one because it ties into burnout. Now, even if you're watching the replay, how many of you guys have suffered from burnout before? And if you're willing to mention yes, what kind of burnout? Did you recognize it, where it was coming from? Because that's one of those things that really affects us. And sometimes we don't know that it's affecting us. And so this article we're going to talk about today was from ABC News. And they did some research, and this is really cool. They had research from Virginia Tech, surveyed 108 employees working at least 30 hours per week, 138 significant others, and 105 managers. And they basically took a pool of all of these different groups. So again, they're doing a sample, right? They're surveying not only the employees, but they're surveying the significant others as well as managers, because everyone's on different levels, and they are trying to see what happens, which we're going to talk about. Welcome, Paula. So they went through and they surveyed them, they went through and checked in on them and the expectations of monitoring work email. Is this going to ring a bell for anybody? Monitoring your work email. Does that cause burnout for you? It may, and you may not know it. I will say that when it comes to email, I think that's one of the number one things that causes burnout for most people because of the fact that we're so addicted to checking that email. Even if you hate email, for work especially, whether you're 9 to 5 or you're your own business, you definitely still kind of get addicted to that email. And how many of you are overwhelmed by your email, your inbox, right? Especially when you see that number continuously climbing and you're like, I'm just trying to maintain today. So it gets really, really crazy with burnout because you get that anxiety. You start feeling, lost. You start like sweating. You start not wanting to eat, and the list goes on. And so something has to give. Like, you have to be able to step away from that. And so what's cool about this research is that they were talking about, I'm going to use this quote from ABC, some employees admitted to monitoring their work email from every hour to every few minutes, which resulted in higher levels of anxiety and conflict between spouses. So see, that's why they also included the spouses, which I thought was interesting, because most, I think, would think, okay, let's just survey the employees. But no, they're not only worried about the employees, they're worried about their significant others, because it's not just going to happen with you, it's going to affect everyone else around you, right? We talk about our teams a lot and how teamwork equals success. But if you're burnt out or on the verge of burnout, then you're not going to be really able to help very many people, right? So you have to be able to get that under control. Let me just read the comments real quick. I've been dealing with burnout recently because for me, I go out and I try my hardest to get clients, but people in my area never want to pay for anything, that they're always trying to get a discount or, yep, exactly. So I started to feel burnout and frustrated with my business. Totally. How many of us can agree with that? Like, we definitely can feel that burnout when we try to put our business out there and we try to help people, but nobody wants to pay. Or if they want to pay, they want to pay half price or less, right? And we're like, no, but this is a business. Like, I actually have to pay my bills. Like, I'd love to help you, but I need to pay my bills. And unfortunately, American Express doesn't take thank you as payment. They appreciate that, but they don't take it as payment, So we have to work with that. My last day on my job was August 3rd. Oh, nice. Well done, Paula. Someone emailed me work on August 6th. So yes, I checked my work email because I still have access. Yeah. Well, I will tell you, like, when I used to work at a 9 to 5, we actually weren't allowed to check our email outside of work hours, which was awesome. It was weird for me at first because I had come from other jobs, which typical job, you're always checking your email. And so at first it was weird. And for me, I like to get things checked off my list. I like to have 0 in my inbox if at all possible. And so I'm trying to get those emails cleared out. And when I started that job, it was one of those things where I had to like pause and I had to wait. And I'm like, no, but I want to check my email. I want to clean up my inbox, please. And it's like, no, you're off the clock. Bye. We'll see you next time. Then you can do it when you come in. And it was weird for me, and it took me a while to get used to that. And now, even running my own business, especially at the beginning, it was hard. But that's why I always say to set office hours, because you need to have office hours for yourself, because that's going to help protect you from burnout. And you also need to set that expectation with your clients or soon-to-be clients. So that way they understand that you are not available 24/7. You shouldn't be available 24/7. Because if you are, that's where you're going to get burnout. You need to have time for yourself. You need to have time for you to be able to think, breathe, and just be on your own for a few seconds or a few minutes, So having office hours helps protect some time for you. Now, does that mean that you're going to always stick to your office hours? No. Trust me, you're going to break your own office hours, and it's going to be fine. But again, it's setting that right expectation up front and letting people know, like, listen, these are my business hours. You can expect a reply during this time, but I just want to put this out there. And if you're busy, then you're going to respond within 24 hours, right? Worst case scenario, 48, but surprise and delight. And that's what you want to do with your business hours. Now, the other thing that comes up is, how often should you check your email? Well, that's a question for you, right? How often do you, even if you're watching the replay, how often do you check your email? I'm curious. Let me know in the comments. I will say that I check my email throughout the day, but I have now gotten into a habit of time blocking. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but time blocking is really good and can really help you, especially if you're trying to be creative and you keep checking your inbox. It drives you nuts and it really takes away from that creativity. So if you start time blocking, similar to office hours, right? The office hours is for the whole business, but then email or any other task, really, you can time block. So you can let yourself know, like, if you know, for instance, I'm going to use Erica for an example because I know Erica and I'm sure she'll be okay with this. Not a morning person, right? She's a night owl. So for her to check her email in the morning, may or may not be a good idea because her responses might not be that great in the morning, right? Versus in the evening, she might want to really sit down and run with that. But the opposite could be true as well. She could get her emails done in the morning because she doesn't really have to think too much for some of those emails, maybe. And then in the evening, she can work on her voiceover and really be involved in that, right? You see where I'm going with this? Like, you have to think about your day and what you do and where your productivity levels are, and understand like when is that client work really coming in, and when is that time where you can just be creative and where you have to just work on the projects, and to be able to block that time out and understand like if you know that you need to work on a project, you're going to set aside that 1 hour to work on it. So no one's going to bug you between that 1 and 2 o'clock hour, right? You can pick whatever time. I'm just using that as an example. But when you start implementing time blocking, you really, and not just for email, but social media too. Like for those who have followed me for a long time, you know that we had I did a social media challenge probably last year that really helped me take my business to the next level. And it was only a 5-day challenge. And I noticed results already day 2 of that challenge, right? So I knew that for me, doing something like that, it was hard, but I saw instant results. So practice that. Practice setting up. If you don't have office hours, number 1, get those set and put those in place and notify your people. Put it on your website, send it in your emails, let people know, just wanted to update you. I have new office hours. These are the times that I can be reached at, blah, blah, blah. That's it. Like, get those first thing. Then I want you to start thinking about how can you time block. And since we're talking about email, because that's the biggest one here, oftentimes, I want you to think about how can you, and just take one day. Just work on one day. Don't worry about the whole week or, the next few months or anything. Just worry about focusing on one day. Pick a day, tomorrow, and say, okay, I'm only going to check email at 8 a.m. for 30 minutes, at 12:30 p.m. for 30 minutes, and at 4 p.m. for 30 minutes. And see if you can do that. Now, here's the trick, though. This is what's going to help you, is turning off your notifications on your phone. Don't have it on. Don't have it on. I know this is going to freak you out, but I will tell you, for my business email, I do not have notifications turned on my phone. Why? Why do I not have them turned on? Because I'm in my email enough. I check it like Facebook almost. So it's one of those things that I don't need a number popping up on my email on the app to get my attention. It will be there when I get there. And it's not going to be a huge emergency because I check my email so frequently, right? So it's one of those things that I just want you to test that and see, and then see how it makes you feel. See what kind of difference it has, not only for you, but if you have your significant other or family members. It's really about trying to disconnect and really making that line visible between personal and business, especially when it comes to being in the evenings and the weekends, right? Now, some of your jobs may be different. That might be the prime time for them. So the morning time is like the slower time. But whatever it is, you want to try to break that habit of constantly checking it, because I'm telling you and I'm telling myself, we have to make sure that we have some separation, because it's going to be good for our health. It's going to be good for our minds, our bodies, and our potential customers and our current customers. Trust me, when you can put in those time blocking skills and put them to work, trying to look for the right words here. When you put in your time blocking skills and you put in those office hours, that gives you some buffering time for you to really pay attention to that task when you hit that, and then be able to go on and work on other things as well. So think about that. Let me just double check the article here. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything else there. The anxiety. Let's talk about that for a second, because this is a good quote from the article. the quote is, anxiety can manifest in several ways, including changes in appetite, concentration, focus, and decreased quality of sleep. It makes people less productive in their work and home lives. So that's another big reason of why a lot of companies, hopefully more, will start doing this, but some big companies will say you can't check your work email outside of office hours because they want you to be fresh. They want you to be able to get that break, because we know, those of us who have gone through burnout and those of us who have realized like we got to take a break, and then we get that boom, that energy, that clear perspective. We're like, yes, let's do this. Let's go. I got this. I realize what's going on. That's why we need that break, which is why there's vacations implemented, and why we still have to work. When we work for ourselves, we don't get vacation time, right? But we have to make sure that we still factor in some kind of relief, some kind of goal, whether it's just a day trip or a weekend trip, or even going and staying in a hotel locally if you can't go travel anywhere. Like something to just get you out of your element and make you just feel a little more relaxed is what's going to help you with that. So really think about that. And I'm telling you, because I'm telling myself too, we need to make sure we continue to schedule that. And let me just double check here. Oh, and then they also said being able to be in the moment is one of the biggest things we teach people in alleviating anxiety. So that was another quote. Remove distractions and focus on the conversations you are having. So again, that's where that comes into play. And when you start doing time blocking too, that will help you focus in on the conversations. Like if you're in a meeting, you don't need to be distracted with your phone. You can put that to the side and just write down your notes. If you're trying to work on a big project, like let everyone know, okay, I need this time where I'm just going to focus. I just need uninterrupted Slack notifications turned off. I need email turned off. I need texting turned off. Like we have to have those breaks. So think about that and see how you can implement that in your daily routine. And like I said, just start with one day. Because for some of you, this is going to be a really major task, and you're going to feel overwhelmed, and you're going to be like, no, Ed, I can't not check my email. Are you kidding me? No, that's not going to happen. Take one day. And if it's really that bad, take half a day and just try the time blocking. Just check, morning for a half hour, call it good for an hour or two, and then recheck. Like do some kind of exercise like that, and that will really help you get more acquainted with it and realize that you can do this and that you will do this and that you will feel better and that those around you will enjoy your presence more and will want to connect more and be able to collaborate more. So it's all around good. I hope that was helpful. I think that was all I had for you guys today. I was trying to think of the other things. And if you want to become a guest on the show, please do so over at edtroxel.com. You can click on the shows and request to be a guest and share your knowledge so that you can come on the show. We talk about business, tech, and the user experience. And if you need anything or if you have suggestions for the show, you can always head over to edtroxel.com, click on the little blue circle in the lower right, that's the chat bubble, and just drop me a note saying, hey, love the show, would love to see more of XYZ. That's always available for you there. And until tomorrow, I hope you have a great evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you're tuning in from. And I look forward to seeing you replay viewers in the comments. Have a great night, everyone. Take care. What is the Hey Ed community? I'll let them tell you.
I'm drawn to this community, Erica, because listen, I'm going to make sure as a business person, I know you are as well, serious business women, we're going to make sure that we're getting the content knowledge we need from the Hey Ed community. But I also want to laugh. I want to have fun. I want to enjoy my workday. And I know I'll get that balance in the Hey Ed community. I know he'll tolerate our tangents.
And I think that's the perfect way to have a really good engaged community. It's a perfect balance of business and fun,